If you've ever been told that you are powerful, that you are brilliant, that you have real leadership potential, but you don't always feel it, you are in the right place. Maybe there are people out there that nominate you for opportunities and they ask you for your input. They absolutely trust you and feel like you are wise, smart, very grounded, very demure. And yet, there are still moments where you doubt yourself quietly, where you're questioning, why me? Like, why would they choose me for that opportunity? And you feel like everyone else sees something in you, but you don't quite believe it within yourself. Well, this episode is not about forcing you to feel confident, and it's not about trying to get you to pretend like you're someone you're not, but it's about letting someone else's belief about you hold you while your nervous system gently catches up. Take a breath. You don't have to rush this. Welcome to Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. Now, what we are talking about today is really coming to terms with we don't have to fake it till we make it in 2026. We're no longer going to be out there trying to pretend as if we're someone we're not. We're also not going to just bypass these emotions that we may have or gaslight ourselves into believing something different or to like kind of pump ourselves up. And we're not going to have toxic positivity either. But what I really want to talk about is how can you borrow someone else's belief when it's necessary in order for you to move forward until your nervous system, until your own belief catches up to what really is true about you. As women of color, we have the added pressure of hiding who we are and showing up as someone different, especially when you've had to navigate bias or invisibility or scrutiny your entire career. So borrowed belief doesn't try to sweep things under the rug, but give us the permission that we are worthy of assistance, of advocacy, and that we can receive the same support that any other person out there is getting when it's necessary for us. Being confident stems from being in relationship with others. And so if we're going to move from a place of non-belief to self-belief, to self-trust, we have to be in relationship with other people in order for this to happen. And this is going to take some of our own self-belief and borrowing other people's belief as well. So there's this thing that often comes up in my conversations one-on-one, and that is imposter syndrome. Now, if you've listened to any of my other podcasts, if you've looked at any of my social media content, you know that your girl does not believe or does not buy into imposter syndrome. And the reason why I don't buy into this is because when I think of a syndrome, I think of something that needs to be cured, medicated, something that needs to be psychologically evaluated. And it's something that women of color and even women in general, I see take this on almost like a badge of honor. Like, oh, it's just my imposter syndrome, right? It's like an excuse almost. Although it feels real for you, I question whether or not you can really be an imposter. Because an imposter has a connotation that you are somewhere you don't belong, that you are getting access into something that you shouldn't have access into, that you are getting tapped on the shoulder for opportunities that you shouldn't have gotten tapped on the shoulder for. But we all know that we work so damn hard in our careers, in our lives, and just doing all the wonderful things that we have to do in order to get to where we are. And so if you are intentionally working to get somewhere, why would you call yourself an imposter? It's the same thing like if you were building muscle, working out, and changing your diet this year, because I know that's going to be for a lot of you. Personally, that is something on my list as well. I'm not going to lose all the weight or get to a level of health that I really love and say, I'm not supposed to be this healthy. I'm not supposed to be in this place. I'm not going to do that to myself. And so, why do we in our careers do the same thing? Of course, there's a lot of systemic things that are happening in our careers, in our organizations, in the world that mo- that kind of usher in this self-doubt and it sneaks in. And so when we get praised for something that we do, it doesn't almost feel good in our body. It's almost like we can't accept the praise, the acknowledgement of what we're doing, and we're just kind of like, "Oh, that was nothing," or you too," and we push it back out on them because we have a hard time accepting the praise. Or we get nominated for something, and you're wondering, like, "Well, why did I get it? Like, I didn't do that much, or that wasn't on me, or I had this whole other team do it with me too." And we get kinda inundated and told that we have to be that way, especially when you think about interviews. The person who's interviewing is oftentimes trying to see how well you exemplify teamwork. And so we've been conditioned to, it's never about us, it's about team collective. And so, yes, that may be true, but we don't communicate it in a way that actually shows the individuality of what we did. And so when we get nominated for things, we're like, why me? I didn't do that. And oftentimes, other people are seeing your leadership long before you do. They see your potential, they see how capable you are. It's like a mom and her child. I've seen things in my children where I'm like, oh, this is going to be what they're going to do. I said this with my two younger boys. I know one is absolutely going to be the basketball star, and one is absolutely going to be the football star, although both of them play both sports. But I know what they're called to do. I know what's out there for them because I see the potential. And it's the same thing when other people, and it doesn't have to be your boss, it can be somebody different, but they see the potential in you and they may call it out. And sometimes our own thinking, our own ways of how we believe about ourselves get in the way. And oftentimes we call it syndrome, but it's actually imposter treatment. It is the treatment that we have been under that have made us feel a certain way about ourselves. That is not true. Before I keep going, I want to pause for just a moment. This episode is brought to you by my one-on-one leadership coaching for introverted women of color who are doing their best work but feel stuck when it comes to career growth, influence, and positioning. This isn't about motivation or productivity. It's about learning how to name where you want your career to go, understanding how leadership decisions actually get made, and positioning yourself for opportunities without becoming someone you are not. I work closely with a small number of clients at a time so we can focus on your relationships, your leadership identity, and the systems shaping your career trajectory. You can learn more about working with me one-on-one by checking the link in the show notes. And let's get back to the episode. Most of us have had to be careful, very measured, very prepared in the corporate space. And so we do everything possible so we don't draw the wrong attention. And then we stay in survival mode. And I want you to know that these things are not something that's a flaw against you. It's nothing wrong with you. But our nervous system has learned these responses that have shaped us so we can stay safe, so that we can stay in a place of security, and so we don't get called out on something that we think could be a problem, even though other people are not seeing that problem as you see it. Here's what I know, and I'm not trying to get too clinical or too technical, but the brain is wired for safety. It's not wired for spotlight or visibility or risk. When you think back to the caveman days, it was lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. Whether you know lions, tigers, and bears from The Wizard of Oz or you know it from Jasmine Sullivan and her song, Lions and Tigers and Bears, we are wired for safety. The goal is to not be in the spotlight. If you think about animals in nature and animals out in, the wildlife, Some animals know how to camouflage because it's not about being in the spotlight. It's about being able to hide from your prey or to be able to hunt your prey and to get the food and safety and survival that you need in your life as an animal. The same thing happens for us as humans. And so when opportunities come up, your brain goes into survival mode and you're wondering, is that direction safe? Should I be doing that thing? Is that something that I should pursue? And it could be very debilitating because when we're thinking, is it something that we should do? It can cause procrastination. We can show up not confident. We can show up insecure. We can self-sabotage sometimes because we're doubting ourselves because we've had to prove ourselves. So this may be one of those moments that is not safe as well. It may be one of those moments where I will have to work harder, where I have to do more to stand out, even though I've been tapped on the shoulder for this opportunity, we still think we have to show up doing more. And I want to be fair, as women of color, sometimes that is the case. Sometimes it is true that even though we get tapped on the shoulder to the other judges, we still have to do more. We have to show more. We have to show who we are and what we can do. Okay. So I don't want to downplay that. I don't want to gaslight you. As I'm saying, don't gaslight yourself because that is true. As a woman of color, I know this absolutely to be true because I've experienced these things myself. Okay. And so when your nervous system is activated in that way where you're like, okay, I need to be safe from the lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, because your brain doesn't know the difference. What happens is we need time to get back into our safety. We need time to allow ourselves to get clear, to calm our nerves down, and to really just get back into a place of like, okay, let me think clearly and let me move forward. And so this is why I want to introduce you to this grounding concept of borrowing beliefs, because this allows you to be held by others to hold to kind of sit under what they have for you, how they feel about you. I'll explain like a mother and child, where if there is some type of danger in the way, the child will literally look up. And I remember learning this in my psychology classes, will literally look up at the mom to see their reaction and to know whether or not they need to be safe or is there a safety issue here or not? And so the same thing that we could do is we could look to the other people who have nominated us, who have told us what we can do, and we can say, is this actually a moment that I need to be secure? Is there really a threat here? And so that's what we really want to be thinking about, because I think this idea of borrowed belief is really going to help you when you're going through different moments where you feel like it's imposter syndrome. Now, for a my definition of borrowed belief, my definition of borrowed belief is that it is when someone sees you clearly. So it can be a mentor, a sponsor, a coach, a peer, your partner, it could be a friend, and they are able to reflect your capability back to you. And then you allow their belief to hold you while you grow into it. Now, like I said at the beginning of this episode, this is not about fantasy. It's not about faking it till you make it. It's not about stroking your ego or inflating your belief about, your beliefs where it's just like, oh, girl, that's not reality anymore, or being delusional about it. It's not about that. It's an accurate reflection of how you can settle into your nervous system and to create the self-trust and self-belief that you need. Borrowed belief is literally when someone else's view of you fills the gaps while your nervous system catches up. And it helps you to move forward without feeling imposter, without feeling why me, without feeling I'm not good enough, I need to prove myself, without feeling all of these narratives that we tell ourselves. It Borrowed belief literally helps you sit into what someone else feels about you. I'll tell you a personal story. I remember when I first was even thinking about becoming a coach. So I had just went through a rough patch in my career where I was in this temporary role. And I had been doing it for some months and I wanted this temporary role, but then I ended up not, I wanted it to become permanent. And I ended up not getting the role because they gave it to someone else. And I felt so damaged. I felt like I've done all this work for all this months. I thought I proved myself. What come to find out, some of the things is, yeah, they probably already had a preferred candidate. I also didn't explicitly state that I wanted it to be permanent, although eventually I got to the interview, but maybe that was too late by then. But I have really been in a place like, man, I'm so much more than the role that I was in. Now, if you know the story, you know that this role was, I was an administrative assistant. It was a higher level administrative assistant. And y'all, let me tell you, I'm not going to knock administrative assistants because we hold the keys to the purse, okay? If you want to know anything about what's happening in the workplace, in your office, go to the admin. They're going to be able to tell you. However, in that moment, I was just kind of like, dang, I'm just bummed and I'm just hurt that I didn't get it. And I remember this woman that I was working with the contract on for my boss. She was going to come to our team and she was going to do some sessions, some workshops. And I just really fell in love with her. Carolyn is her name. Carolyn, if you're watching this, if you ever watch this, she is still one of my friends, across the coaching space. And she came up to me and she was like, you know what, you would be a really good coach. I mean, we were talking about some things and I was telling her about what happened. She was like, you would be a really good coach. And I was like, huh, I don't know what a coach is. Like, what's that? And when she was telling me, I was thinking, oh, yeah, I don't know if I could do that. Like, this is the person that gets in front of leaders, in front of senior leaders. They're telling them what to do. You're running workshops. You're doing all the things. Now, mind you, in my former workplace, I was doing all those things. I was literally doing operational and learning and development work. I was helping employee new hires. I was interviewing. I was doing workshops. I was doing all the things. But because I came into a new industry, all of a sudden it was like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I didn't feel like I could do it. But she was like, just take this one class, try it out and see how you like it. Y'all, I didn't sign up for that class right away. It literally probably took me another 3 to 6 months to sign up for the class just to try it out. So I tried it out and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. And eventually it has led me to where I am today. But I had to sit in her belief, what she saw in me. I didn't even know what coaching was. Y'all, okay? I didn't know what coaching was, but she saw the coach in me. Now y'all know me as Coach Tashina, and I'm out here doing the thing, both individually and with teams. And I can say, had I not held on to that, I would not have pursued that goal. Now, what I really want to really paint the picture for you here is that it wasn't about me being perfect. There wasn't a hero in my life or anything like that, but it was really about someone believing in me and seeing something that could help me grow. And it took being in relationship to actually have that opportunity. And so that's what I want you to know. Opportunities don't come because you are solo or you're pulling your own self up by your bootstraps. Opportunities come from being in relationship. And so I want you to know, like, there are going to be moments where you just go, and there are going to be moments where you're going to have to wait and journal and think about it a little bit more. And that's okay. But just know that there are people out there who believe in you, and just believe in yourself. Stay in it. And even if you don't believe in yourself, believe the belief that they believe about you. Believe that. And I think that will help you get to the next level of where you want to get to your career. Okay. So here's a contrast that I want you to make, because I know I can hear you asking, well, isn't that like fake it till you make it? Like, if you're just doing it and somebody tells you can do it, then you should be able to do it. Isn't that like fake it till you make it? Okay. Let me just burst your bubble, because it's not. Okay. So when you're faking it till you make it, you're performing. You're like, okay, I'm going to put on I'm going to be all the world's a stage, and I'm going to be an actor, and I'm going to have my lines, and I'm just going to perform well. I'm not talking about that. I'm also not, when you're faking it till you make it, you're hiding your doubt. You're pretending. You have a mask on. Sometimes you're so exhausted from being somebody that you're not when you're faking it to actually, it's not sometimes, you're always going to be exhausted trying to be someone else you're not. That's faking it till you make it. And then you're disconnected from other people because you don't want people to know that ain't the real you. And so you're faking it or you're hyper vigilant. You're like, "Oh my God, like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta stay later, I gotta come early, I gotta meet with this person, I gotta meet with that person." You are faking it till you make it because you see something around you and you think that that's the way that it should be when it's really not. That is not the way it should be. That's faking it till you make it. But when you take on someone's belief, when you have a borrowed belief, you receive the truth of who you are. You're like, huh, okay, let me figure out what are the things that make that true. What is evidence that can make that true? What are the receipts that say that's true? What are the skills that I'm already developing that make that true? And you stay authentic, you stay in who you are, you take supported risks. So you're not just out there doing it by yourself. You're going to grab somebody to help you with those risks. And slowly you're starting to build the self trust that you need in order to move forward. So now you're like, oh, okay, I did this little thing. That wasn't so bad. Okay, I'll take another step. That's what it looks like. And your confidence is regulated. You're not from 0 to 100. You're like 0, 1, 2, 3. When I think it's called the U, theory U. And so sometimes what happens with the theory U is people try to go from A and just skip over and go to Z, right? But theory U says that you have to actually go into the valley and then come out in order to actually learn, to build the confidence, to get grounded, to understand what skills and what identity needs to be developed in you. That's what borrowed belief looks like. And I mean, you could look anywhere. Like, there's nowhere where you can go from 0 to 100 and be successful over time. It's not sustainable. You actually have to become someone new. Me being an entrepreneur, I've literally had to become someone new. I'm literally learning so much about myself, but I'm going down into the valley and I'm working my way out. I'm not trying to just go boom, boom, because it doesn't happen like that. That's just not reality. So, what I want you to see here is that one is about performance and the other is about support. One is about, I'm going to do it all by myself. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to fake it till I make it and nobody will know. The other one is like, hey, they know that I don't have all the skills and all the things that I need, but they're here to support me and they're actually ushering me into this new era into my life. That's what it looks like. So I want you to take just a breath. I want you to pause. I want you to breathe. And I just want you to really reflect. And I want you to ask yourself, what do you wish you believed about yourself right now? And just think about that. I wish that I believed that I was a great business owner. Real talk. I wish I believed that. And so that is why I have coaches. That is why I have mentors. That is why I have friends who I surround myself with to constantly pour into me to say, you are a great business owner and you're doing exactly what you need to do at this stage of the game. The other question is, who already sees that in you? Clearly and consistently, who sees that? Again, it's about the people you're surrounding yourself with. If you were sitting alone and trying to do this, actually, it's going to be the negative Nancy in your head that's going to continue to say, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? What do you mean? That's when the imposter syndrome comes up because there's no need for imposter syndrome when you have people who are pouring into you. And then when have you been affirmed and quietly dismissed it? When has someone actually said, you are good at that? And you're like, oh, no, it's not me. Today, 2026, we're going to stop saying that. We're going to say, oh, is that how you say? Okay, let me think on that. Wow, I didn't realize that's what you saw. That's good to know. And think on it and find the evidence, find the proof. And then where do you resist receiving reflection? Where do you resist that? And whose voice feels safe to borrow from? I'm often looking at people like Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, Michelle Obama. I'm looking at them and I'm like, "Ooh, I need to borrow their voices, their beliefs, what they've said, things that they've said that they really like." Back when I was becoming a coach, I borrowed the voice of Carolyn, who told me, "Tashina, you can be a coach." Who is that person for you right now? So here's how you can start practicing the borrowed belief. When someone affirms you, I just want you to pause and breathe and say thank you. Let it land. Don't try to push it up underneath the carpet. Just let it land, let it be there with you. And then start a belief file. Okay, a belief file, a belief journal, something like that. And save the feedback you get, the messages, the emails, the impact stories, the moments you help someone. Save those things because that's really going to help you as you move forward. And then allow someone to advocate for you without shrinking or minimizing it. Sometimes we're like, no, 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 don't go talk to that person. Or, no, 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 you don't have to say anything to them. No, yes, go say it for me. Go let them know what I did. Please, I really want you to go do that. Later on the tail end of my last job, I used to tell people like, go. Can you go, please? Please let my boss know the impact that I had. That'll really be meaningful to me. That'll really help me. Okay. And then take one small risk while being held by the belief that others already have in you. So if someone says that you will be good at doing a presentation, hold that and take the small risk of maybe doing a simple 5-minute talk in a meeting. And then you move your way up to longer presentations. There is no rush in this, and there is no timeline. You get to grow at the pace that you feel safe. And so I want you to know that. Now, there are some caveats, some things that you have to know because you can't borrow belief from everybody. I always say that everybody can't touch you, everybody can't pray over you, everybody can't hold that for you because some people are not praying for you, they're praying on you. Okay? And so there are people that you just cannot borrow the belief from. So there are going to be people who are inconsistent, people who benefit from you being the giver all the time or over giving, and people who project their ego onto you. When I say project their ego onto you, sometimes there are people that will try to make you feel like what you're doing is wrong. Again, it's like the ant and the elephant. The ant only sees a certain level, so they're like, "No, no, no, you can't do this." And the elephant is like, "Yes, I can. I can see further than you." But the ant is trying to make the elephant believe that what he sees is what it is. Don't borrow the belief from those people. Okay? Do not borrow the belief from those people because they are trying to usher you based on what they feel safe at and based on what's their like locus of like safety and survival, their own ego, their own nervous system regulation. So don't borrow that belief, but borrow belief from people who show integrity, who show that they care about you, who have some level of emotional safety, and they actually have a track record of being trustworthy and being respectful. I remember having a person who was kind of new into the organization, but she was somebody that I supported. And I would always like, no lie, like out of all the people, I would always look to her for emotional safety because one, she was a praying woman. And two, she really believed in me and believed in what I can do. And so I always borrowed her belief in the workplace because she always made me feel bigger than what I felt myself. Okay. So you want to find people, you'll know it intuitively and in your gut, you'll know who you can move forward with and who that person can be. Okay. So borrowed belief should never feel manipulative. It should feel like you're grounded. It should feel like you are moving forward. It shouldn't make you feel razzled and confused. The devil is the spirit. The spirit of confusion comes from Satan. And so if you feel confused and all over the place, that's probably not the person that you can trust to borrow belief from. Okay. So I just want to make sure you know you are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be in performance to show your worthiness. You don't need to do more to prove yourself. And to know that Imposter syndrome and self-doubt, that's learned. That is a learned behavior. It's a learned action. It's a learned conditioning, especially in systems that were not built with you in mind. And so always remember or ask yourself, how is the system trying to treat me versus what are all the things I've done to get to the place that I am at? That is a difference. And I really want you to take that and know that and really sit with that for a long time. Okay. And then your confidence is going to grow as much as you stay in relationship with people who are like-minded, who are on the same page with you, who are aligned with where you want to go and believe that that's where you should go. And don't do this in isolation, because when you do it in isolation, it actually when you are by yourself, it actually gives room for the negativity to come in, for you to be talking to yourself and saying, oh, I shouldn't do this, and this is about me, and blah, 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 blah. And you start really feeling bad because you don't have the other voices coming to you and saying, no, you're good, girl. Oh, you doing your thing. Oh, you doing a good job. Oh, you doing a good job, right? You don't have that. And you want that constantly because that's going to overpower all the negativity. You are already a leader, title or not. And so always remember that, take that with you and hold that close to you. Okay. So in closing, you don't have to generate belief on your own. You're allowed to be supported and you're allowed to be held by someone and their belief. So borrow what is true about you and let your nervous system catch up with who you already are, okay? So if this resonated, I want you to start that belief file today and then save. Basically, it's just saving the moments where someone saw you and they acknowledged you and they talked about your impact. And then share this with another woman of color who holds belief for you and tell her why she holds that belief. And remember, you don't need a title to lead. So figure out what that is for you. What does it mean to lead without a title? And start to take that out into the world. Talk to you soon. Bye.